Hi, this is George Lees making an archive on 5 medieval dynasties, part 1 and part 2. And it's quite stunning. Some of the characters that are in it confirm the links of some of my closest friends to the Habsburg Dynasty. Yeah, that is the Forbes Rich Listers, and it's absolutely stunning. But I've seen it before. That day I bought a bottle of champagne. Right then, so let's go on to video number 1, and there is video number 1. 5 medieval dynasties that still exist today, and there is part 2 that will be coming in a few minutes. And I think we're on the right photographic mode. Let's go. Okay, so part 1 is this one.
The medieval period produced a lot of powerful dynasties which fought for influence and wealth in Europe. These families were once the most powerful people on the planet, but who and where are they today? Here are 5 medieval dynasties that still exist today. Number 1. The Habsburg Dynasty. The House of Habsburg is one of the most influential dynasties of Europe. They were founded in the 11th century by Rabbiis, who was a small feudal lord in Switzerland.
So that was the very first post I ever made on my website, and little did I know how important it's going to be. Yeah, that's the red bottom. Yeah, and there are their neighbours in Poland that are the Hohenzollerns. That is the Kaisers and the massive characters that are in the Mozart movie, and that is the Hohenlohes and all of the people. I forget the leader of the dynasty, but that will be told in the story. Okay, there is Switzerland and the Swiss Templars that persuade everyone to fleece the world, yeah, and they take the Crusaders to the Holy Lands and they kill the pagans that lived there and launched the Jesus fraud, which is the biggest cause of death and the biggest launch pad for billionaires that ever existed.
At their prime, under Emperor Charles V, their empire encompassed Spain, Germany, Austria, parts of Italy, and most of Central Europe. Of course, Habsburgs had more titles in their trophy cabinet. Today, only a cadet branch of the Habsburgs exists, named the House of Habsburg-Lorraine. The current head of the dynasty is Archduke Karl von Hapsburg.
So he is in the families that were actually his brother was part of the, his uncle was part of the training which was mutually beneficial of Pope Benedict. Yeah, all of the sad bastards are on the Committee of 300, and that is the fleecing of the whole world as it was intended out of the Swiss Alps. Yeah, and wait till you see the next one.
Habsburg. He is currently an Austrian politician and the grandson of the last Austrian emperor.
So those are the ones that are Austro-Hungary, and a whole half a dozen of them that are on the richest people in the world. They are the ones that are the lookalikes for some of my best friends in the last 2 years in my life. Actually looked me in the eye this morning. Right then, on we go. So they are the rich listers now. They are on the Committee of 300. And if we go to episode 1, you'll see that the one that is right on the top of the family trees in Bavaria is still in the profiles. Yeah, and I was actually looking for the Drew dynasty of Europe, but I never found any of that. But the family trees are absolutely amazing. I've found one for Vasco da Gama and the earliest explorers that discovered India and made it a Portuguese province.
His father, Otto von Habsburg, renounced all the claims to the Austrian throne as the family was exiled after the First World War and could only return to the country if they weren't pretenders to the Austrian government. Number 2.
So that's why his children are the lookalikes for Brandeis, yeah, and that is the massive man that is now a politician and a monarch all at the same time, because it's part of the terms and conditions.
The Ottoman Dynasty. The Ottoman Dynasty is made of the members of the House of Osman, which was founded by the first Ottoman Sultan Osman I in the 13th century.
Eat your heart out, Donny Osmond. Yeah, all of it in the same era as the launch of J.R. Ewing in Dallas. That's the R. Ewings that are the chief master masons right through Scottish history, interacting with the Swiss Templars as they steal the entire world.
The most famous Ottoman ruler was Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, whose reforms and changes relating to society, education, taxation, and military brought the empire into its golden age. The current head of the Ottoman dynasty is Dündar Ali Osman, who is the great-grandson of the last Sultan Abdul Hamid II. When the Ottoman monarchy was abolished, all the members of the Ottoman dynasty were declared traitors of the nation and exiled. There is also a member of the Ottoman dynasty who is a British comedian today, named Naz Osmanoglu. Number 3. The Grimaldi Dynasty. The Grimaldi Dynasty was...
So this is Princess Grace of Monaco and the Rainiers.
Founded in 1160 by Grimaldo, a Genoese statesman in the medieval period. They quickly became one of the most powerful families in Genoa. The most famous Grimaldi member is Rainier Grimaldi, who was the first sovereign Grimaldi ruler of the area known as Monaco after he conquered the castle on the Rock of Monaco.
So this guy does not tell you that they are an ancient papal bloodline, but if you look at the uniforms they had on, they are clerics' uniforms. And Wikipedia have published all of that, and it's in my archives all over my computers. Poor Princess Grace. Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? Yeah, that is the song that was sung by the pop singer about the death of Princess Grace. Yeah, with the Star Wars team icons that are the long electrical light bulbs that were used to take the British Royals' narcotics into Australia so that they could fund the IRA and kill the menace that was Lord Mountbatten, who got Prince Philip onto the throne. And Prince Philip murdered him because he wanted to break into the Onassis, Duke of Edinburgh, and Winston Churchill syndicate for narcotic trading all over the geopolitical world, simply as a fundraiser for the world's richest families. All of them are on the Committee of 300 in their day.
Today, the House of Grimaldi is led by His Serene Highness, the Sovereign Prince of Monaco, Albert II. He is one of the wealthiest nobles in the world, with a net worth of approximately $1 billion US. He is also an enthusiastic sportsman, as he participated in the 1994, 98, and 2002 Olympic Games in bobsled. Number 4. House of Hohenzollern.
Sieg Heil Kaiser Bill, yeah, and the another set of lookalikes. Yeah, that is the great families Let's wait and see what he looks like.
The House of Hohenzollern is a dynasty founded in the 11th century by Burkhard I, Count of Zollern.
So he's one of the founders for the FLEECING movement. Do you get it now? Thousands of miles from their home, and all of the people that they killed were in the name of Jesus, and that is them killing all of the pagan nations that worshipped the pagan gods. And it's still happening according to the new disclosures from Greg Hallett on how to take over the world, that the whole of the Iranian and Holy Land wars that were conducted by the serial killers that are Bush and Blair, all of that was done as a scam so that all of their taxes and all of their country's wealth could be taken back. And that is Saddam Hussein, who met me with his children. His daughter is a pharmacist, and they dined with me in Witherspoons in Edinburgh on a day that the rugby internationals were happening. Yeah, and that is it. He now works for the Anglo-American Financial Syndicate. Yeah, and all of that was imposed by the people that invaded Iraq. Yeah, those decisions were made in Washington, in the White House, and they were made in Westminster. Yeah, and it's still happening to this very day, which is why Iraq is now appearing on the news bulletins every morning.
They ruled the Prussian Kingdom, the German Empire, and the Kingdom of Romania, respectively. The most famous member of the dynasty is Frederick II.
There he is. Yeah, there's the sun god on his lapel.
Or Frederick the Great, the longest reigning and greatest Prussian king,
So he was married to, I believe, Marie Antoinette from Paris, and that is in the Mozart movie. And another one of my favourites might be the Dunst actress that is in that. Yeah, she plays Marie Antoinette. Yeah, and she's lovely.
Military victories in the 7 Years' War established Prussia as a dominating European state. Notable Hohenzollern members include William I, or in German Wilhelm, who was the first emperor of a united German state since the dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire. The current head.
So that's the joke in the Indiana Jones movies, that there's a woman called Willie in his team. Yeah, she's Wilhelmina. Yeah, and that is Willie Scott in Indiana Jones as they discover how rough it is in India, even although that was discovered by members of these dynasties in Europe. Yeah, Vasco da Gama, out of Portugal, like the true King of England, yeah, and the murders of the only legitimate child of Queen Victoria, that was Marcus Manuel, which is why Manuel the waiter is in Basel Faulty, and that's why the Bank of International Settlements is in Basel, and that's why the doctors in the borders tried to section me, and their name was Basel Switzer. Yeah, and Dr. Ian Fingland.
Head of the Hohenzollern Dynasty is Georg Friedrich Ferdinand, Prince of Prussia. He is the great.
Familiar faces all of the sad bastards are on the committee of 300, and most of them that I've studied in depth are war criminals. How are you today, Miss Quant?
Great grandson and historic heir of William II, the last German emperor who was exiled after Germany's defeat in the First World War. He works in a company specializing in helping universities bring their innovations to market.
So those are the universities that have only recently, since 1995, imposed massive fees on all of their students ever since 1995, and that has risen from then, when it was £3,000 a year, to being £75,000 to £80,000 for everything that I got for nothing at university. Yeah, and all the way up to professor, I was never in debt. Now it is a massive steal, and all of it is run by the NM Rothschild Bank. Yeah, like all the wars on all the sides.
And he currently lives in a historical HohenZollern castle. Number 5. House of Bourbon. The House of Bourbon was founded in 1272 by the sixth son of King Louis IX of France, Robert, when he married Beatrix of Bourbon. Undoubtedly, the most famous Bourbon ruler was Louis the...
So there's Montique and Saint-Denis, and that is where the people had to walk along the catwalk that was filled with skulls from all of the massive dynastic wars that occurred across Europe. That's Guelph versus Ghibbeline for 1,000 years of European history. And that is the Elf dynasty that the current Duke of... oh, look at the heavens. Yeah, that is the Archbishop of Canterbury that used to be the managing director at the Elf Oil Company to celebrate the fact that that is the massacre of all of the Catholics that they fought against in that 1,000-year war. Yeah. And those are the real gods, yeah, that never get part of the story, but they have to now launch the massive weather storms because the humans are totally immoral, and there's very, very few prepared to stand against this because it makes you have a massive life, a massive empire, and you can have slaves from all over the world that used to worship the sun, who's still hidden behind that Christian church.
The 14th of France, also known as the Sun King, whose reign of 72 years and 110 days is the longest recorded reign of any monarch of any sovereign country in European history. Queen Elizabeth II is reigning since 1952, and she is...
So do you remember the revolutionaries that used to fight against them? Yeah, that is the 3 cavaliers that are the 3 crosses on Calvary Hill. Yeah, with the world's leading Freemasons gazing up at them. She's not allowed to be in that syndicate, but she is the world's richest woman. She is the leader of the Committee of 300, and to cover up the fact that my hometown is involved in everything, they have now actually released the story that Pindar, who owned the church in Kelso, yeah, was the original founder, but she's now taken over from him. That's P and I for Piso, who wrote the Bible, and Pindar, the richest man in the Committee of 300.
Still 7 years behind Louis. Louis's greatest achievements are building the Palace of Versailles and turning France into an absolute monarchy. As he famously once said, "The state, I am the state."
So everything is the sun god Ra's rays. That's the crown of thorns for the non-existent Jesus.
Although the Bourbon dynasty doesn't exist anymore, there are still cadet branches of the dynasty, most notably the Spanish royal family. The current head of the Bourbon cadet branch is His Majesty King Philipe of Spain, or
Philippe, yeah, and that is the son of Juan Carlos, and he's alleged to have had a fling with Gwyneth Paltrow because they're all in these royal Christian bloodlines. Yeah, she's a Pope Benedict relative, and she is Jewish like many of the families. Yeah, because Arrius Piso, who wrote the Christian Bible, was a Jew, which is why he wears the headgear the same as those ones that are the sultans and the people that we just talked about that are in the Islamic nations, yeah, and that is written in the Protocols of Zion that they are there to start World War III and to commit the humans to extinction. And it looks as if the gods are quite excited by their new visitors. Yeah, it's absolutely crooked, and all of it is absolutely ancient.
In Spanish, Felipe.
And that is his dad, allegedly. All of them are the false news that this one's brought onto this earth to be a peacemaker, this one's brought on earth to be the king, and all of them are brought onto this earth to become the massive imperatos of the world.
He became King of Spain in 2014, following the abdication of his father, King Juan Carlos I.
So that is Prince William's dad. Harry's dad is James Hewitt, and fuck knows who's his dad is.
What do you think about our pick? Did we say something wrong? For more videos like this, subscribe to Vote on Peace and leave us a comment saying what you would like to see and hear next. Until next time, goodbye.
So that's George Lees's contribution, and we'll go on to the next one in a few seconds. Okay?